Fellow travelers, welcome to a Hitchhiker's Guide to Web3. So don't panic and don't forget your towel. A towel, I'm told, is the most massively useful thing an interstellar traveler can possibly have. This is what Douglas Adams' book, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, tells us. In the book, there's a character called Arthur Dent, which is a lonely resident on planet Earth. And Earth is scheduled for demolition for the construction of an intergalactic highway. Luckily for Arthur, a friendly neighborhood alien by the name of Ford Prefect happens to be an experienced intergalactic traveler himself. And he saves Arthur by teaching him the secrets of interstellar exploration. And one of the first lessons he teaches him is to always remember his towel. I'll get back to the towel later. Hint, hint, it's a metaphor. So Ford tells Arthur that you can do many things with a towel. You can wrap it around yourself for warmth. You can lie on it on brilliant marble sanded beaches. You can sleep under it beneath the stars. You can use it as a raft down a heavy river. You can wrap it around your head to avoid the gaze of ravenous beasts. You can wave your towel in cases of emergency as a distress signal. And you can wet it for use in hand-to-hand combat. And of course, you can dry yourself off with it if it's not wet. So towel, we'll get back to it. But if you guys work in tech, and you obviously most of you do, you've heard the word Web3 at least 5 times today. And it's not 11:30 yet. So I'm gonna give you a little experiment. When I'm done, just go up to 5 different people and ask them, what is Web3? And you're gonna get 5 vastly different answers. And I think the reason for that is that really nobody knows yet. There are some things we do know about Web3. We know that it's more or less, well, we hope it's decentralized, right? That's the goal. And that obviously has to do with the blockchain. And it may or probably will run on some sort of token-based economics. And I think the reason that we can't agree or understand really exactly what it is because if you imagine Web3 to be this galaxy, and we are these interstellar travelers, then we're just in the very nascent stages, in the very beginning of this exploration. Right? And I think that's an important point because that's what is so wonderful about it. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself yet. My name is Tal, and I'm the Executive Creative Director over at We3. That's our booth over there. We are a Web3 publication and full-service web and marketing events agency. Now, when I first hired my team of creatives, none of them came from crypto. None of them came from, obviously, Web3, which only now exists. And when we decided to start creating Web3 content, we needed help with all the mountains of information that we were encountering. We needed a way to decipher that. And we needed a sort of a guide, right? And basically, we needed a friend like Arthur's friend in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy to help us and guide us through that. We needed a towel. So this is how We3 was born. We3 is not a towel. It is a online magazine, sometimes offline, like today. And our goal is to explore stories about Web3. And we don't want to tell those stories from a technical or jargon-filled perspective. We really are trying to explore the human-centric perspective of the web. Like, where do humans and the internet intersect? And that's what we find interesting, is these moments. I might be giving away my age, but I remember the internet in the 90s, Web1, right? And it was funny and exciting. People had weird nicknames like Flash Eyes 44 or Red Eyes 47, and they would go on chat rooms and ask for your age, sex, and location at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was an interesting place to explore. And I think that we are in that moment of transition, right? A lot of smart people are saying that we're about to transition into this new moment, which is Web3. Because from Web 1 to Web 2, the technical moment of transition was cloud computing, right? When all your little pictures went up online instead of on local servers. And that's the technical transition between Web 1 and Web 2. But to me, the actual cultural moment where we transitioned between Web 1 and Web 2 is Facebook. Why? Because Facebook was the first time that a platform made us put our real pictures and our real names online. And they basically merged our internet identity with our real world identity. And so for the first time, you had to be yourself online. And that created a cultural seismic shift, which birthed things like influencers and Kim Kardashian and Kanye and, Ye now, and a reality TV show president. So that was the moment that to me was interesting from a transition standpoint, because that's where we, for the first time, saw the internet actually affecting real lives. And a lot of smart people are saying that we're in that moment for Web3. But honestly, I think that we still have a bunch of exploration to do in order to discover these moments, but that's what drives us to write and explore these stories. Now, there's a lot of content out there about Web3. So, sorry. So there's a lot of content out there about Web3, but I think that a lot of it is very technical and jargon-filled, and our goal is to really look at the stories from a more human-centric perspective. Okay, so what's with our name? We3. So it sounds like Web3, which is good, because that's what the magazine's about. Then there's the collective power of we, which is, if the new internet is going to be decentralized, if we're going to give power back to the people, if it's going to be taken away from corporations, et cetera, then, then we thought that was a fitting name. But honestly, we just kind of thought it sounded cool. So some of you out there are founders, and I'm sure at some point you sat with your co-founder or your advisor, and you tried to come up with a new name for your business. And when you both landed on one that you liked, you were proud of it, and then the first thing that you did is you Googled it to make sure that no one else had that same name, right? Well, we didn't. So it appears that now we share our name with another We3, which is a smart way for adults to make friends in groups of 3. In all fairness, it's funny, but they're actually, I read the site, and they're concerned with safety, and they are empowering people to date in groups of 3 so that they can be safe and happy. But either way, if you Google We3 and you end up here, this is not us. This is, okay, so not us is us. Website is coming soon. For now, it's a link tree. So as I was saying, there's a lot of content being written every day. Who needs more of it? But I find 2 things about most of the Web3 content that's out there. One, it's either trying to sell me some sort of Web3 related product, or it's explaining the mechanics and the technical aspects of Web3. Mostly it's complicated, it's highly technical, honestly it's kind of boring. And this is why we set out to tell these stories in a different perspective. This, by the way, is a story, I think, from Coinbase. You can see the beautiful diagrams. Try to read it, I dare you. Let me take you through some examples of our human meets internet stories. So this is a beautiful experiment in a single-purpose DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, which tried to buy the US Constitution. Constitution DAO talks about an auction for probably the most expensive piece of paper in the world. Now, on that night at Sotheby's, that piece of paper sold for about $40 million, and it became more expensive than both the Magna Carta and Leonardo da Vinci's journal. Selling somewhere, again, in the region of $40 million. So who was bidding for it? Okay, so on one side, we have a DAO, that decentralized autonomous organization, which is basically a bunch of crazy kids on Twitter that were pooling their crypto dollars to buy it, right? And on the other side, we have hedge fund billionaire, mega Republican donor, and notorious crypto hater, Ken Griffin. So technically, these two opposing worldviews bidding for the US Constitution, or a piece of paper representative of the US Constitution. Now, good versus evil, who's who, you can decide. I'm not gonna tell you who wins, it's the rich guy. So, you're probably following this story. I don't have to tell you how crazy it is, but it just might be even crazier than you thought. I'm gonna read you a little quote. I'm gonna get closer to my notes because I can't see it. This is what FTX corporate restructuring officer, which was Enron's corporate restructuring officer, recently said about this. I have over 40 years of legal restructuring experience. I have been the chief restructuring officer in several of the largest corporate failures in history. I have supervised situations involving allegations of criminal activity and malfeasance. He's referring to Enron. Never in my career have I seen such complete failure of corporate controls, from faulty regulatory oversight to concentration of control in the hands of a very small group of inexperienced, unsophisticated, and potentially compromised individuals. This situation is unprecedented. Now, this is the same dude that restructured Enron. So yeah, fun. Okay, this story follows or suggests what possibly the sex industry could look like in Web3. Now, it sounds a bit off, but to be honest, it's strange, but the sex industry has been predictive of internet technology for some years now. And a lot of times, the technological advancements that we see them first on these websites. And so it's really interesting to try to figure out, what does this industry look like in Web3? What does a decentralized version of the sex industry look like? Worth keeping an eye on, no pun intended. So in our story about the Russia-Ukraine war, we dive deep into what it means to fight a war, both online and offline, and why this war is also the ultimate battle between CeFi and DeFi. And this is actually one of my favorite stories in this issue. It's about a monkey, and he's kidnapped. So this is Seth Green's NFT. Seth Green, if you don't know, is a comedian, actor. He does the voice for Chris in Family Guy. And Bored Apes, if you haven't met any, go on the lower end for about $30,000. And on the higher end, they sell for about $3 million. So you can buy an ape, and when you buy an ape, you buy his underlying copyright. So what does this mean? That means that only you can profit off of your ape and no one else can. So you can make ape mugs, you can make ape t-shirts, you can open your ape restaurant, and you can launch a TV show about your ape, which is exactly what Seth Green wanted to do. And What happened was when his ape was stolen, yes, you can steal an NFT, be careful, lock him up, keep him safe. So when his NFT was stolen, so were the copyright rights that were attached to said ape. So this made things very complicated, very interesting, and very weird. This is ape 8398. He needs help. He's kidnapped over at the We3 booth right now. He has he's unhappy. He has a black eye and a mouth gag. So you can go help him or kidnap him yourself or take a selfie with him and tag us so that Seth can sue us. Should be good. The magazines are free if you can tell us what the answer is to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. Before I go, I'll just leave you with this little video that we made a few months ago to promote crypto gift cards. Yes, we're an agency too. I forgot to say that. Again, plug. And it's about two little robots trying to live their best lives in a post-apocalyptic world in the year 2138. Thank you very much. We can play the video now, I think.